everybody. Welcome back to Let's Talk with Casey and Mike. We appreciate you guys coming to join us yet again. Today, as you can see scrolling along the top, we have a subject. Is it wrong to marry for anything other than love? Okay, so if things are so, I have notes today. When I told Casey I had notes, he started laughing at me. That's all right because he always think I'm trying to get in trouble. Well, I'm not. I'm just asking a simple question. And I have some examples and I have some things that I've learned from friends and such who are kind of, you hear on Facebook, oh, he got to have this, he got to have that, he whatever, whatever. And you don't always hear love. Now, of course, in the Bible, we are to love everyone. We are to love our neighbors and so on and so forth. But when you view getting a mate, you view it as a different or stronger or a more intense love. But that's not always the case. It's just not always the case because as I said, you can go on Facebook, you can say he got to be this tall, he got to have this, he got to have that. And sometimes you don't hear him talk about love. They're just trying to check off boxes. So, and if you meet those boxes, then I will marry him or I give my life to him, or vice versa. She has to be fine and she has to be this and she has to be that and so on and so forth. And then I'll marry her. So what we're going to do is we're going to get into a discussion. Is it wrong to marry for anything other than love? And this is a real deal. So we'll get into it. But Casey, do you have anything to say before we get started into it?
Nope, I'm ready. I'm ready.
So first thing I have on my list are things that people do to get married other than love. Sometimes there are arranged marriages. Right. There are different cultures where my family is this, your family is that. We grew up knowing each other. So what's going to happen is you have some in the Indian and I want to say some Asian families do this, but arranged marriages. Sometimes you have people in the church who, like, if he's a pastor or if he's somebody in the church, I want to get married to him because it automatically picks your status up there. He could be whatever. He could be ugly and fat and whatever. But if he's a pastor, then I want to go ahead and get married to him because it's going to make me look better. Some people marry for sex. Of course, you knew that was coming, right, Case? All right, you knew that was coming. So some people, of course, along the Bible, you're supposed to wait. But some people say, hey, I just want to have sex. Oh, I have a story. So my wife and I had a friend who she was young. She was early 20s. And she was dating a guy who was like a youth minister or something like that in the church. And they're trying to do right or whatever. And they wanted to have sex real bad. So instead of waiting and getting to know each other, they decided to go ahead and get married because they wanted to have sex. So the marriage lasted a little less than a year because only thing that they wanted was that physical, whatever, just so they could do that. But marriage is so much more than that. All right. Next on the list, stability. You have people who are getting up in age. You have people who are, I can get in trouble, but I'm going to throw out a number anyway. Let's say I'm 50, I'm 60, I'm 40, and I've never been married, and I don't want to be alone for the rest of my life. And so there's this convenience that I knew this guy in high school. I knew this guy at the church. I mean, he likes me or she likes him or whatever. And so, I mean, I need somebody to take care of me and I need to take care of somebody because when I get older, I just need somebody there. So not necessarily love, but I need some companionship and stability. Let's see. Money. You hear a lot of this. You hear people say, I don't have to be in love as long as they can take care of me, as long as I can have a house, nice house, I can have a nice car, I can have a pool, I can live in the country or the city or whatever. So as long as they can do that, then I'm going to marry them. And they get into that situation and they find themselves in a world of mess because Money, as we all know, is not everything. So, next on my list, some people marry for citizenship. That's another deal for convenience. Look, I just want to come to the country. Oh, look, I know that you look like whatever, and I don't care. I just need to get that piece of paper so I can get there. I need to get into the United States. For the most part, people say, "Hey, I'm gonna get married to come to the United States." You get married, you come to the United States. You're here. I'm legal. You get married. You stay married for as long as you need to, and then I'm gone because those rarely last. Let's see. Companionship. Oh, pressure. Sometimes you have parents who say, "Hey, sweetie,
Mm.
you ain't found nobody yet. You know, you 40 some odd years old. You don't go on a lot of dates. You really should find somebody because you don't want to be, not my word, people use this, a spinster or whatever, because you know you're unmarried, you haven't been doing anything. So that's not my word. I'm just saying that's what they use. Okay. Sometimes people marry when they get pregnant. Sometimes people get pregnant and they say, let's go ahead and get married to make this marriage, whatever. And so that's half of my list. So I'm gonna go ahead. We're gonna go ahead and talk about those things so we can kind of go through
Mhm.
those. Um, so just in general, when you're young, and this is all my personal opinion, when you're young, you want to find someone who, oh, I'm just head over heels in love with them. They make me feel good, but sometimes they don't have a job or they're between jobs or they don't keep a job. And so you're in love, but this person cannot support themselves, much less you and a
Right.
family. So, how do I answer this question? Is it wrong to marry for anything other than love? Love is important. It really is. But we cannot ignore the other things that make a marriage work.
Right.
Because if I love you and if I want to spend the rest of my life with you, just because I love you, there should be some other things that come along with that. Now, don't get me wrong, you have to compromise because you got to know what you're bringing to the table. And so you have to make those adjustments because, oh, now I'm getting ready to get in trouble. Whew. Yeah. Okay.
Let it
I'm
rip.
I'm 20 years old. The world is my oyster. Okay. This is my list. This is my list. He got to be 6 feet tall. He has to be this. He has to have that. He has to have this. And she has to be fine. She has to be whatever. So I'm not married. So I get to 30. That list probably need to come down a little bit because the options start to get a little bit more whatever because you're changing and your expectations should change and you should. I'm not saying settle for mess, but you got to be careful because once you get to 50 and 60 and whatever and you're saying my man has to be six, he got to be fine and he got to have this and he got to be whatever. There are very few 60-year-old men or women who don't have experiences, who don't have children, who don't have a divorced spouse, or who don't have these things. So if you're still trying to hold on to what you did when you were 20 and you are 50, you're probably going to be alone for a long time because you got to make a adjust. You got to adjust. You got to adjust. You got to adjust because that's life. So then when you say, am I marrying just for love? Okay. But you have to say, okay, there's some other things that I need to think about. I think about it. I just do because now I am going to get in trouble as this go on, but I'm going to go ahead and tag in and see if Casey, you still got something to say. You want me to keep going?
I'll jump in. I'll jump in. I'll jump in. I'll jump in. Is it wrong to marry for anything other than love? Let's just go ahead and answer. My opinion is no, it's not wrong.
Okay.
It's not wrong. Um, Love has to enter the equation. Um, God know how he made us. He know how he created us. He knows, what we're driven by. So for a man, I think in order for a marriage to last, in order for it to have any kind of you know, continuity, if it's going to be, what God intended, then we do have to love our spouse. Now,
Mhm.
for women, um, the scripture says for them to be respectful and submissive. I think God knows everything. There is no doubt that He knows all things, so He knows how we're wired. I don't think most men really uh, operate off of being loved versus being respected,
Hmm.
and
What's the
uh,
difference? Before
a
you go on,
woman
what's the
being
difference?
submissive. I think it's a form of love. Respect and submissiveness is a form of love, but those are the actual words that are used in the scripture. I think other than one place, it's only one place in the Bible, if I'm not mistaken, that women. It's even talked about a woman loving her husband.
Mhm.
Um, Husbands are to love their wives. Also, it tells you about, you know, our prayers being answered because we love our spouse.
Mhm.
We live a blessed life because we love our spouse. So I think those things can end up taking place because, like you said, there are arranged marriages, there are friendship marriages, there are
Mhm.
marriages that are um based off of business decisions.
Mhm.
There are a lot of marriages that you don't have all of those building blocks initially, but they come into the equation at some point.
Absolutely.
So,
Absolutely.
no, I don't think it's wrong. I don't know how concrete it will be if love never enters the equation because you can learn to love. You
You
can learn
can.
you
You
can learn
can
to
learn to
love.
love. And as you were talking, I was looking up um arranged marriages last longer than non-arranged marriages.
I can believe that. I can believe that because a lot of times when a marriage is arranged, it's arranged by someone who loves you.
Okay.
So if someone loves you and they want the best for you, they're likely looking out for your best interest and they're going to put you in their mind with someone that has all of the things. Because a lot of times we know, like your children, a lot of times you know your children a lot more than they give you credit for.
Yes.
So we know our kids at their core, even though they may, venture off and
Yes,
become
absolutely.
this or that and the other, they may have their own ideas of
Yes.
love and marriage, but you want somebody for your child that has great foundation. Definitely you don't want them unequally yoked. You want someone who believes what you believe.
That's
You
why
all
the families. So you're right. And so when I read it,
right,
it says because people who arrange marriage usually know their family.
right.
I know their beliefs. I know this, and so we have basically the same values. And so,
Mhm,
like you were saying, hey, I'm looking out for you. I know that you might not want to do this, but I'm telling
mhm.
you, came from a family who was raised like this. She was raised like this, so we arranged this marriage. So you're right. They kind of
Mhm.
line up with it instead of you just going on the internet and say, I'm just going to pick this dude off of whatever, pick this
Right,
dude off
right,
of a deal, because and you know nothing about them or their family or anything like that. So yeah,
right.
yeah.
Because I mean, it's probably happens more so than we want to think about. But I believe a lot of people who not parents or friends or family trying to control
Mhm.
what you do, but if they really love you, they're looking out for you. So if you have family that loves you, I ain't talking about like we talked about last week, contentious. I ain't talking
Mhm.
about a contentious family where people just, they always trying to make you do what they want you to do, or they
Yeah,
want to use you so they don't want somebody else to have you because they
yeah,
want to use you up. But
yeah.
I'm talking about a family that really loves you, that agape love. They love you beyond anything that you can ever do for them. They love you beyond they love you unconditionally.
Hmm.
So when a family loves in that way, most people who are in a relationship that aren't good for them, their family or friends that are very close to them can see that this isn't the right relationship for you.
Right,
Now, you may not want to listen to it, but most
right.
times people who have gone through something, when they've gone through a contentious divorce or they've separated or whatever, somebody they love somewhere further, a lot further on close, when
Hmm.
the relationship was new,
Hmm.
said something. they said something to them, or they didn't approve in their actions or whatever. So I believe that I can definitely believe that arranged marriages lasted longer. Now, on the flip side of that, in cultures and religions that they have arranged marriages, like they're not allowed to divorce either. So that may be a big part of that number, that
That's right.
percentage.
That's right. That's
So
right. And so they
yeah,
have to put up with whatever comes up. I don't care what he doing. I don't care
right,
what she doing. It
right,
doesn't matter because you stand in that.
right,
You stand that no matter what, because sometimes it can get dangerous depending on what religion it is, because you're not going to bring shame to our family by
exactly.
leaving her, by leaving him. And so you have that extra pressure of, you're right, that pressure of, I gotta stay no matter what, because once
Hmm.
I'm in, and
Right.
love or whatever it is doesn't really matter. So I guess if they can fall in love, that would be an extra deal. But the pressure
Hmm.
that comes from the family or from the culture or from the community,
Right.
because a lot of communities, there are certain areas in Texas where a lot of Indian people, it's like a neighborhood full of Indian people or Hispanic people or Asian people or whatever, and you have those communities, and they're usually very close knit. And so when they're that close knit, it is, hey, John over there's family, he's whatever. You guys, when you turn 18, 21, you're going to go ahead and get married, and you don't really have a choice in the matter. And I'm sure a lot of them are scared, are unhappy with it, but that pressure, I mean, there's,
Hmm.
because marriages work.
Hmm. Absolutely.
Marriages work. And if you go into it, this is my belief, if you go into it with that mindset, because Tiny don't always like me.
Hmm.
Tiny loves me. She don't always like me. She don't always. I do something to annoy her, but those are things that you like. Okay, I have to compromise. I have to adjust or whatever, and you have to work through those things. It
Right.
just so happens Tiny and I love each other, and that's a blessing that we love each other, and so that's a good thing. But
Hmm.
it feels like society has gotten so wrapped up in, if she has this, if he can provide this, and maybe that's why the divorce rate is so high, because
Yeah.
those things don't last, because not every woman is going to stay fine, and not every man is going to be in shape, and not every man
Well.
is going to be these things. And so that's where that friendship and being friends and being able to talk and being able to love. And
Yes.
so and
Yes.
so
Yes.
when you have that, it's so much easier to talk through things, because um you can't walk around and being sexy all the time, because we got to eat dinner, we got to talk about the kids, we got to do this, and so we
Right.
need to be able to
Right.
communicate. And so love is love is work, and I just don't think people want to put in that kind of work. You know what I mean?
Well, it's not just work. Love is a choice.
Absolutely. You're right. You're
To
right.
me, most importantly, love is a choice. We have to choose to love.
Yep.
I mean, and that's why you see a lot of people who are friends get married, because there's already the love there between the two.
Hmm. Hmm.
And there may not be this, oh, I'm all over her, she's all over me.
Hmm.
But those things can happen when you actually love someone, if you choose to love them like that.
Yep.
And it's just a matter of preference, of course,
Hmm.
but God has to be at the head of it, or there's no it's no use in doing it anyway. I saw where Charity said that God has to be the head of it all. She did say if you have money, it's a lot easier to stay and play the role. Yeah, but eh, all of that can leave at some point.
Yeah.
Marriage is just like society is. If life and love are about things, then it won't last anyway.
Absolutely.
If
Absolutely.
life and love and marriage and friendships are all about what I can get from this, I can ride in this, I can live in that, I can have this, I can have that, I get to spend this every week, and he ain't studying me and she ain't studying me, and that's not gonna last, because even if you actually love someone, you're gonna have feelings for them, and you're gonna become jealous either of their time spent doing other things, or just them not tending to you.
Yep. Yep.
Like, things are not going to put all that stuff in the background. You're going to want that attention. You're going to want that quality time.
Yep.
So, like I said earlier, the answer to the question is no. It's
Right.
not wrong. I do feel for the people that are in marriages where there is no love. You spoke about other cultures. I've seen couples from other cultures where obviously they have been put together because and maybe it's a part of their, maybe that, that mutual respect
Hmm.
isn't something from some other cultures.
Hmm.
I'm not saying which culture or
Hmm.
which, ethnicity, but you will see the husband is uh, definitely detached from the
Right.
wife.
Right.
He's always way ahead of her. And you can see on their
You can
face
feel it. Right.
sometimes, you can
Right.
see on their face that I'm just in it. I'm just
Mhm.
in it. But that's not what God intended for marriage to be. God never intended for marriage to be that way. And if people are marrying out of convenience, then you're choosing to be conveniently unhappy for a lot of your marriage.
Yep.
For a lot of you're gonna choose to be unhappy. You're gonna choose to be alone. A lot of times, you're gonna choose to face the world by yourself and have to answer a lot of questions from people who do love you.
Yes.
But when you truly love one another, and if you can get to that point, like, it's great to have that foundation. And I like you, you like me, we spend time together. You get to know my family gets to know you. We have the same values, we serve the same God. Okay, let's get married. Let's start a family. And even in that, even with the in love, there's gonna be bumps, and a lot of times some big bumps, not just speed bumps, but I'm talking about the kind that you see on the TV where your car actually leave the ground. It's gonna be some bumps. It's
But
gonna be some bumps.
I think love is needed for bumps
Yeah,
because
yeah,
I think,
absolutely.
is it wrong to marry for anything? No, I don't think it's wrong. But I think in order to go through anything, you need
Hmm.
love. I think like you said, love is work, and you're gonna need love to get through bumps. Because there are some people who get married just so they can have an awesome wedding day. I just want to have this wedding day.
Woo, woo.
I
Wait a
know.
minute. Wait a minute. Boy, you hit something just then, boy. You hit something.
You, you know it because you know those people.
I know people who've
I
had
did. Yes. Yep.
extravagant weddings.
Yep.
I had a friend that got married one time, and by the time he got divorced, he was still paying for the ring.
Yeah.
Um,
Yes, sir.
it saddens me
Yeah.
that people are so in love with the day,
Yes, sir.
with
Absolutely.
the celebration,
Absolutely.
with the lifelong dream of
Yep.
walking down the aisle.
Yep.
I don't think many men have that dream, because a lot of men, like women, don't take this the wrong way, but a lot of men fear marriage because of the responsibility. I am placing myself in a position where I have to lead someone for the rest of my life. Like, my choices are not just my choices now. And it's not that a lot of men, real men, they'll, they say you get cold feet and this and that. No, no, a lot of it is nervousness, because I am committing to be responsible for this person's well-being for the rest of our lives.
Right.
That's a tall order. God is going to come to me as the head of the house. To me, like, what happens in this marriage is dictated. There's an old saying that that the husband is the thermostat and the house is the temperature. So wherever I set it, that's where it's going to be. If I come home cold, the house is going to be cold. But if I come home warm, if I come home loving, if I'm kissing wife, if I'm hugging kids, if I'm being just open to, you know, being all things for all people, basically, that's what you're doing when you say, I want to be the head of a house. Because a husband is not only And my pastor said this years ago. The husband is not only the husband, but he's the house man. He's what keeps the house together.
Yeah, but it has to be work. You
It's
there's
a
teamwork.
ton of work. It's a ton of work. It's a ton of work on both ends.
Right.
Because wifey got to give up independence too. Now wifey not only has to give up independence, wifey is signing up to scripturally do what I say.
Ooh.
That's vague. That's vague. So for all y'all that ain't married, all y'all just done one eyebrow went up and and no he didn't.
I was
Whatever.
in trouble today.
Hey, I don't care about getting in trouble. Y'all call me, text me, email me, whatever. Y'all know where to find me. But I will explain when I say this. Lord have mercy. I'll explain when I say this. I'll explain when I say this. Scripturally, that's what you're signing up for. Not me, Tarzan, you, Jane. But scripturally, what you're signing up for is I will follow you. I will trust you to make the right decision for our family. That doesn't mean you're not involved in the decision, but that's what a woman is signing up for. A man is signing up for the pressure of making the decision. A man will be a fool though, and I've said this before, you are a complete fool if your wife is better than the finances, but because you're the head of the house, I'm going to take control of the money. That's the decision that I have to make, that hey, you handling the finances. You're an accountant, or you are great with money. You know how to budget this and that and the other. Handle the money. Handle the money, and I will make sure that the money comes in the home so that we can function.
So everything, I think the last 5 minutes of everything that we just got through talking about, all that list of things that I said at the very beginning, you can get married for all these things, but what we just got through discussing, love has to carry it through that. All of those things, love has to be there in order for us to give up ourselves and get together. Because
that word,
give up that,
those two words, give up.
But that's love.
That's what love is.
That's not status.
That's what love is.
That's not stability. That's not citizenship. That's not pressure from the family. None of those things will last if you don't have love. And if you can't give yourself up, don't get married. Because again, you're just doing it for the day. You're doing it for the status. You're doing it for the sex. You're doing it for the stability. You're doing it for convenience. You're doing it for all those things. But in order for it to last more than that day or that 2 days or that whatever, then love is the only thing that can carry it. So yes, it is not wrong to marry for anything other than love. But in order for it to work, I think love has to be a center part. And people can learn to love. People can learn to love. You can, because there are some people that I don't like that I have to learn to love. Not in marriage or whatever, but I mean, there are people that I work with. There are people in my family. There are people like, if you weren't in my family, I wouldn't say a word to you because you aren't my what. I wouldn't talk to you because you're family. So I have to put forth effort, because if I saw you on the street, I wouldn't give you a second look. But they're family, so I have to love them. I have to work with them. We have to work together. And I'm sure people feel that way about me, but that's work.
Right.
That's work. Right. And so
what is love?
Love is work. Love is joy. Love is companionship. Love is joy. Love is sadness.
I mean, we know what the scripture says.
Hit it.
I mean, it tells us love is kind. It's long suffering. It's all of those things, but it's wrapped up in this verse that's in the scripture. God is love.
That's right. That is exactly right.
Beyond our faults, beyond what we do wrong, beyond how we disrespect, beyond how we don't consider, beyond how we may not cherish, beyond the times when we don't like each other, love still wins when we choose to love. Because once you choose to love, you overlook all of those other things. You have the grace in your heart to come back to the forefront and say, you know what? Let's do better.
Yep.
We can do this. We chose each other for a reason. So let's bring this back to where we were, or let's be better than what we were. We're never going to be who we were when we met. That day left the moment we met. Like that day will never come back again. But all of the days that follow up into death, we can either build or we can break.
Yep.
Build or we can break. It's just like a bank account. You make deposits, you take out withdrawals. But in order to have good standing, you always got to put more in than you take out.
Mm-hmm.
But those that have a good bank account, ain't a whole lot of worry. They can just coast. And that's kind of like marriage. When you have that love deposit, you can kind of coast a lot of times because, it ain't a whole lot of, tight budgeting on the love. It ain't a whole lot of, I better not say that to my wife. I love my wife. I can say what I need to say to my wife. I'm going to be gracious. I'm going to be kind and be respectful about what it is that we're going to talk about. But love makes you have to talk about the things that you don't want to talk about. And some of these comments, keep talking and see my auntie is in the night. My wife said, that's vague, Lord Jesus. And
yeah, good luck tonight, that Casey.
And then she winked. Tanya, yes, the goal is ever bond. Love is a choice. Love is a choice. When we chose God, we chose to love. And I saw a few more others in the chat. Thank you all. Yeah, we talking good. I see you, cuz we talking good. We trying to talk good. And these are just opinions, y'all. So don't be blasting us. Now we could take the heat, but we're just talking. That's what this show is called. Let's Talk with Casey and Mike. And we hope y'all enjoyed it. We had a good time again. Continue to send your comments, continue to send your emails, your texts. We like to discuss things that are not just on our mind, but things that are on other people's mind. We bring it to the forefront. We talk about it. If it's something that we feel like will open up the floodgates of a discussion. It's even if I'm upset, I'm still going to fix your plate. There we go. There we go. You may have the chicken leg hanging off the side of it, but I'm gonna bring it to you. It is. That's what it is. Love is love, and we got to continue to let love win each time. So again, let's talk with Casey and Mike. Y'all email us at let's talk Casey and Mike at gmail.com. Send your comments, send your suggestions, your questions, and we'll dive in every week if the Lord's will. We'll see y'all again. Y'all take care. Peace.
Love you guys. Peace.